Suppose someone's talking to you about suicide and seems imminent and they know how they're going to do it. They're asking you for help. Remember this story. Remember this story, because I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it, and it plays a role in how I act today. When somebody asks me for help, I help. Hold on a second, before we go any further, please subscribe, like, and comment. We need your subscription to help support this project. Your subscription is critical to the funding of this project, to the growth of this project, to helping people. So, before we get on with this video, please subscribe to the channel and share this video with your Facebook friends, your news feed, your stories, or wherever else you communicate on social. Thank you. Now let's get on with the video. Hello, beautiful people. I want to talk to you about the butterfly effect experiment and the butterfly effect and how it applies to changing lives. But this time, how inaction led to a negative result in my life. This is a story about my friend named Stephen K. I'm not going to say his last name because I don't want to fill the internet with stories about one bad decision in his life, his suicide. Because the man lived a long life and it wasn't defined by his suicide. And I don't want his two boys to think like that. Though I may share this with them someday, I don't want them to focus on his death, but rather his life. Stephen K. was somebody I came to know in my church. He was a distraught man going through a divorce, and his wife was trying to take full possession of his children from him and keeping him from them through court order. So much so that he couldn't live in his own house with his mother, which was because it was right next door to his home with his wife. He had to live elsewhere, and he struggled with that, and he punished himself, and he ended up living in a squalor, even though he had a lot of money. He felt like he was being punished, and he affected that, and he was living in a squalor in Midtown, in Manhattan, but in a place where prostitutes stay for a couple hours with a shared bathroom. It was really a vile place. And I didn't believe him when he told me he was homeless, because I knew he was a wealthy man. And then later on I came to know that part of his story. But Stephen was telling me his story. He and I shared that he was a Wall Street trader, so we shared a little bit of a background, and I would let him share his opinion on my blog for a while. If you search hard enough, you'll find a few of his brief notes on trading strategies here and there. Stephen K, not Stephen Ferguson. Stephen K. Anyway, he's a Greek man from Crete. Not a weak man. Not a weak man. But a man who I met in a seminar, and he started telling me his story. He was seeking help, counseling, and he kind of like found me. And over the course of maybe months or a year, I got to know him. So much so that I became like a confidant to him. And he would tell me how he was planning to jump off the George Washington Bridge. And I would immediately take his focus away from that. Stephen once offered me to start a business with me, and I, because of pride, I felt like he was pitying me, and because of pride, I said no. Had I known that might have saved his life, starting a business with me, I definitely would have started a business with him for his sake, and it would have helped me. So that's another another point where the butterfly effect came into play. Had I made a decision in that direction, Stephen might be my business partner today, and the two of us he might still be alive and thriving, and maybe remarried, maybe have more children. Instead, one Father's Day, this has ruined Father's Day for me forever, because one Father's Day weekend, I saw Stephen in my church in New York, and I just went to church that morning, and I was heading to Philadelphia to be with my father after church. And Stephen caught me on my way out, and he said to me, "Hey, God spoke to me in church today." And I said, "Oh, that's great." And he said, "Yeah, he told me that before I hit the water, no, he told me, raise your arms to me, reach for me." And I said, "Oh, that's great." And he said, "Yeah, so before I hit the water, I'm going to reach up in the sky, and God is going to save me and take the pain away." He figured he'll die, but it won't be painful, and he'll be taken to heaven. I said to him, "Stephen, I think you're misinterpreting." I said, "Maybe he just wants you to trust him and to give him trust in this legal struggle with your wife," because Stephen was really battling his wife. He was a coach of his kids' baseball team, and because of the court order that he had to keep a distance, he went to coach one day and was arrested. It really hurt him to not be able to be with his kids. Really hurt him a lot. And so it was Father's Day, and he couldn't be with his kids. So he was especially hurting. He had a court date that Monday after Father's Day. He had a court date. And he asked me to go to court with him. I said, "Stephen, but I'm going to Philadelphia to be with my father, who needs me." Because of the condition that Stephen was in, I called a friend of mine named Stas, who's a great guy who was always there for people. And I said, "Stas, can you please go and be with Stephen at court? Because I can't. I'm going to Philadelphia." And he said, "Okay, I will." And I called a bishop, who is now a metropolitan. And I asked him, "Can you please call Stephen? Because he's saying that God wants him to kill himself. Can you please explain to him why that's wrong? Why he's misinterpreting it?" And that great bishop did call Stephen. However, on the day after the court date, Tuesday, I called the bishop. And I said, before I could even say anything, the bishop said to me, "I'm sorry about your friend." And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You didn't hear? He killed himself. He took his life. He jumped from the bridge." So I called Stas, and I said, "Stas, did you go to court with him?" And Stas said, "Yeah, I went. But he freaked out at the judge. He got up and he ran out of the court. The judge was not very favorable to men in divorce cases. He had this whole record of her decisions and stuff, and he was fighting her as well, legally trying to fight her. He got mad at the judge and ran out of the court, and I couldn't stop him. He jumped into a taxi and went right to the bridge and jumped. Now, You might say, Marcos, you did everything you could. It's not your fault he jumped. Your friend went, the bishop called him, he would have jumped anyway. However, and I don't feel guilt, Stephen is responsible for his decisions. I won't allow guilt to plague me for this. I won't allow it. Stephen's responsible for his decisions. However, I know for a fact that if I was there, there's no way. I'm omitting a word. There's no way he would have gotten past me, because I would have known what he was going to do. I would have felt it. I would have known. There's no way he would have gotten past me. I would have tackled him if necessary. And if he got into a taxi, I would have jumped on that taxi. And if he still got away, I would have got into another taxi and chased him down and stopped him. And if I had to climb that bridge, I would have. And he wouldn't have jumped to his death. Would he have done it? Some people will say, well, he would have done it another day. Maybe, maybe not. But the fact is, my decision not to go with Stephen to court that day may have played a role, may have been a factor in the fact that his suicide was successful. Now, you might say, well, it was Father's Day. You did what anybody would do. You went to be with your father for Father's Day. Right, but still, that still doesn't change anything. My decision to not go with Stephen when he asked me for help, for the moment he asked me for help, for the exact help he wanted, my decision to say no, the result of that is Stephen is dead. That's the result of that. What we do matters. So, suppose someone's talking to you about suicide and seems imminent and they know how they're going to do it. They're asking you for help. Remember this story. Remember this story, because I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it, and it plays a role in how I act today. When somebody asks me for help, I help. Please subscribe to this channel, because I need subscribers to build this channel. For more messages like this, and there'll be a variety of messages, I feel confident that you will be glad you subscribe to this channel, if you do. Pretty soon I'm going to be actively helping people, and it'll be through this channel. So please subscribe, share, like, and donate. Thank you.